Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Cindy Mabi, and this is our top story this hour. Black First, the Land First movement has demanded an apology from the Democratic Alliance for misinterpreting Finance Minister, Economic Advisor Professor Chris Malikane. The movement says Professor Malikane is being persecuted for his revolutionary proposal of radical economic transformation, which are counter to the interests of the DA. The BLF says the conduct of the DA with the white media is trying to silence the professor. DA Shadow Finance Minister David Maina demanded that Professor Malikane's removal, calling him mad.
You see, because the minister was accompanied by his economic advisor, whose mad ideas would turn South Africa into Venezuela. And this on an international investor roadshow designed to restore confidence amongst investors in South Africa. The madness has to stop. And so my question to the minister is, will you fire your economic advisor? And if you will not fire your economic
your
advisor,
time is up.
Why will you not
Minister.
fire him?
Earlier this week, Black First, Land First won a case against News 24 for incorrectly and misleadingly quoting Professor Chris Malikane. The press ombudsman, Johan Retief, ruled that the online publication should apologize to Malikane for unfairly creating the impression that he favored the taking up of arms to solve the land reform issue. Malikane pointed out that change must be driven by constitutional reforms.
So how do we get two-thirds to change the constitution? Because as matters stand, no party commands two-thirds. So you need that unity, whether we like it or not, right? Otherwise, in order to achieve what we want to achieve, then we go to that route. Yeah, this one. But so me, I don't like war. No, I've seen it on TV. This thing is painful. Let's first try two-thirds. Let's try two-thirds. Let's try to unite the forces and try two-thirds.
Joining us on the phone line is Andile Mqitama, National Convener of Black First and Land First. Andile, thanks so much for your time. Now, the press ombuds has asked the online publication to apologize, but you've extended this, asking the DA to do the same for calling Professor Malikane mad. Is this your stance?
Yes. Firstly, we just want to say that Media 24 is part of the stable of NASPERS, which is white monopoly capital propaganda arm, which includes City Press and many other publications which followed up on the Media 24 initially clearly wrong publication of the story. So there are a number of publications which have been ordered to apologize and to correct the statement because it was, as we have said from the beginning, out of context, deliberately misleading the nation, and to create the environment upon which Professor Malikane can be attacked by the DA. We believe, and we said it very clearly to the Ombudsman, that that story was a deliberate misrepresentation of Professor Malikane by the white-owned media to create a justification for the calling of Professor Malikane to be set as the advisor to the minister. They went further, by the way. They even went to vets, where they wanted the university also to get rid of Professor Malikane because white-owned media does not want any other voices to be heard except those that support it, that continue the lie that in South Africa the problem is President Zuma, the problems are the Guptas, to shield and hide the true fact, which is the problem in this country, is white monopoly capital, which is corrupt, which continues with corruption, and it is resisting radical economic transformation with its agent. We are very happy that the press ombudsman has agreed with our organization, Black First, Land First, that Professor Malikane was wrongly quoted out of context and deliberately, in our view, misrepresented.
All right, now we'll get back to why you say the DA must also apologize, but you've extended your reasoning based on the Press Ombudsman's ruling that indeed Professor Malikane was quoted out of context by trying to create a certain narrative of a Swartgevaar madman who wants to turn this country into a Venezuela or Zimbabwe. But what does the ruling mean in terms of journalistic ethics? If a story will be perpetuated, regurgitated on different platforms where indeed it's a misrepresentation, what does it mean in your view?
Now, it shows that the white-owned media in South Africa is a peddler and manufacturer of fake news. We must continuously warn our people, do not accept what is reported by the white-owned media easily, because most of it is lies. Most of it is crafted in such a way that it makes enemies out of our friends, and of course it makes our enemies as if they are people on our side. It wraps off, erases the culpability and the wrongdoings of white monopoly capital and its racism. As far as the DA is concerned, the DA has relied on a false report, and in a report which has been discredited now by the Press Ombudsman. And if the DA, which we believe does not have any integrity, but if it does have integrity, it must immediately apologize to Professor Malikane, because the Press Ombudsman has now come out and said that report upon which it relied to hound, to attack, to basically terrorize Professor Malikane was based on a false understanding or reportage of what happened that day. The DA must come out now and apologize if it is a party with any integrity. As far as we are concerned as Black First, Land First, we don't believe the DA is going to apologize, because the DA is a racist party which continues on the basis of lies and creating black-on-black violence amongst our people. Let it apologize to prove that it is indeed a party with some integrity.
All right, but now in terms of the Press Ombuds recommendation or ruling, rather, if you say that it cannot force, it can merely make recommendations as to what the remedial action ought to be, what is the Black First, Land First going to do in the event where News 24 refuses to apologize, or secondly, rather, have a retraction on, page 27, for argument's sake, on their publications? Well,
they are... Media 24 and other arms of white monopoly capital media subscribe to the Press Ombudsman. It is their person, they pay him. So he has said within their own already biased rules, he said they must apologize. So it is up to them to either appeal, but they have no option but to apologize, because the case is very strong. Should they not do so, of course, we as BLF will continue to expose them for what they are. They are just an agent of fake news, and in fact we will go further and call for a media tribunal. The act must now come that we have a media tribunal in this country which will be independent, so that we're able to hold accountable the white-owned media. Furthermore, we know that the independent group is not part of this Press Ombudsman situation. However, it also runs with the same false story. We are writing a letter to the independent group to ask them to also apologize to Professor Malikane and also to BLF for running a false story.
All right, Andile, we're going to leave it there. That's Andile Mqitama. He is the national convener of Black First, Land First, on their reaction from the Press Ombudsman, who ruled in their favor, saying that the News 24 was running a false and misrepresented story on Professor Chris Malikane, alleging that he had called for the uptake of arms to deal with the issue of land. That, of course, has now been completely refuted by the Press Ombudsman.